Hi, everyone. I hope you had a good week. I am really excited about this jewel today, and it's also not fully baked. So I apologize in advance for the fact that it's probably going to be a little messy. But here goes. The jewel is that while moral clarity supports powerful leadership, moral certainty undermines it. So where does this come from, and what made me think about this? Sometimes social media has information that's valuable. It's not often the case. There's so much slop and rage bait and all this kind of stuff. But yesterday I saw something really thought-provoking for me, written by a woman named Mandana Dayani. I hope I pronounced her name correctly. She's an Iranian American, and she is an attorney and an activist, and she's just generally awesome. I'm going to actually read a portion of what she wrote. She wrote an article on her Substack. Her Substack is called All of It, and she wrote about this yesterday, I believe. And then I want to share my thoughts about how this relates to leadership. So she writes, and I'm going to read pieces of it. She writes, and I'm sorry, I'm looking at my computer. Lately, I've been wondering if moral certainty is a privilege. Not moral clarity, but the certainty that arrives quickly, cleanly, and confidently, and that allows someone thousands of miles away from a conflict to declare exactly what is right and wrong without hesitation. And she's talking about the strikes against the Iranian regime, for context. She goes on later to say, I've watched people very far from the reality respond with extraordinary certainty. Within hours, the commentary began, sweeping declarations about right and wrong, geopolitics, and what should or shouldn't happen next. And it made me pause because I found myself thinking how lucky you must be to have never experienced the brutality of a dictatorship. That definitely hit me. That kind of certainty, so she goes on, that kind of certainty arriving so quickly, so cleanly, can really only exist at a distance, when you don't have to hold all of the truths at once. She continues, I'm an advocate too. My entire adult life has been shaped by speaking up for causes I believe in. So what is the difference between moral clarity and moral certainty? She asks that question. Some things are clear. Human rights are not complicated. What troubles me is not the having of beliefs. I think the difference might live in the listening. Moral clarity can coexist with humility. With asking questions before making declarations, with being genuinely curious about why millions of Iranians, including those inside the country, risking their lives, might be responding differently than the narratives we are seeing around us. Okay, so I've been thinking about this, moral clarity and moral certainty. I think we can all sort of understand what the difference is, but what I want to talk about is how this impacts leadership. So we've probably all seen or been leaders who have conviction about something. And my jewel is, I think that's great. I think it's important. I think it's really, really important to know where you stand. And I think that as a leader, your conviction, your clarity about something is useful. It gives people a place to stand or to start the conversation from. It provides some measure of safety, security, predictability. And I also think that clarity is the starting point. Moral clarity is spacious. It's humble even. I'm clear, and I may not know exactly, or I may not be 100% certain. So it can coexist. Clarity can coexist and does coexist with curiosity, with wonder, with the humility of being presented with new information, new perspectives, and being able to shift views or to be moved in a direction. So I think those are really important qualities for a leader, to know where they stand, what they think, but also to have openness. It's like the tension, the friction, and the paradox is having the moral clarity, or what's created by having clarity. In contrast, moral certainty, that puts you on a perch. I know better than you. It's also, whereas clarity can be spacious and open, moral certainty is myopic. It's fixed. It's rigid. It doesn't allow for discourse, for conversation, for new information, for other perspectives. So it's hard. It's hardened. And people who are led by those with moral certainty are voiceless. So there's a real difference of experience when you are led by somebody with moral clarity versus moral certainty. So here's what I want to ask you. As a leader in your life, or if you are showing up in a professional context as a leader, when you have an opinion about something, when you have conviction about something, ask yourself, are you clear or are you certain? And if you're certain, ask yourself why. How come? How do you know? Ask yourself what the consequences of that certainty might be on the culture of your team, of your organization. What do you create around you by being certain? Could you choose clarity instead and allow for others to share their views and to even maybe change your perspective a little bit? Okay. Have a great weekend.